In this tutorial, we're going to look at feedback. It's the type of feedback that you want rather than the feedback that you don't. If you're not sure what feedback is, usually you've got a few elements that creates feedback. You can maybe hear it in the background. Essentially, what feedback is you have a sound here, and that sound travels from here to here, and then it goes back in on itself, creating a loop. And if you think about it, it's adding a layer each time that goes around in this cycle, and the layers, you know, you get more and more layers, and think of these layers as sounds. So the more sounds that you add on top of one another, the higher and the louder, the increase in amplitude that you get, until it gets to the stage where it gets far too loud, and you then run into issues. So there's a way of controlling how many layers that you can add and how much feedback that you can get. And if you know the tools that you need to do that, it can be a very useful and musical tool for a number of different applications. Sound design will be one of them, but just general music production would be another. Creating anything from textures to melodic sequences, I guess. Yeah, so I'm going to shut up and we're going to get into Ableton and have a look. I'll give you an example before we start, and I'll just quickly run through some of the things that I have in this piece at the minute. So this is something I put together specifically for this tutorial, and if you want the Ableton project, I'll see if I can get that to you as well. Just contact me and let me know. Okay, so let's move into Ableton. And yeah, so basically there is a couple of tracks. There's 6 standard tracks. The first one's a drum machine, and that's not being processed any other way other than this channel. But everything else has been sent out to a return track. And then essentially these are the return tracks, so there are certain effects in here. And what I'm doing then is I'm sending a copy of some of these sounds out to these effects and then sending it back in on itself. And I'll show you how to do that now shortly. There's one that's just kind of ticking along there in the background. This is a feedback network audio effect, and it's a Max for Live device. And if you're not sure where it is, it'll be in your Max for Live audio effects. If you're not sure, just search feedback network and it should pop up, as long as you've Max for Live listed as the area you want to search. It should pick it up, no problem. But it's under Max for Live, Plug O for Live. If you have that. If you don't have that pack, you should be able to download it from the Ableton site if you have an official copy of Ableton Live 10. You might even be able to download it in an earlier version. I'm not sure. You'll need to check. Okay, so without further ado, I'm just going to play this a wee second, have a mess around with it so you can hear it, and you can hear what it's doing. So everything that you hear in this is essentially feedback. Pretty much. Like I'm not doing anything at the minute. It's literally the feedback and some other functions that are taken over. And it'll constantly change and evolve. So just give you a look around what's happening here. And so on. So I'm gonna have to reset some of these. So you can hear some of the carnage that's going on here. It's fantastic. It's good fun. So there's a lot of things you can do here just by oh, let me just knock that off a wee second. Yeah, there's loads of things you can do here just by literally adding a few things together. And so you start off with one simple sound, and then you send that sound out to an audio effect. It does its thing, and then you send it back in on itself, back into the audio effect, back in on itself, and it just layers and layers and layers until you end up with some really interesting sounds. Now, you do need to be careful working like this. Before you start, you need to be aware that you can damage your hearing, you can damage your speakers, and you can damage quite a lot of other things as well. So do this at your own risk, and also use a limiter. Now, don't forget, use a limiter on everything you do. Use it at the end of everything you have, and I'll show you exactly where to put it now in a second. But if you do not use a limiter, you're really going to hurt your ears, and you'll damage your speakers or your headphones or whatever you're using. So use a limiter, and you need to understand how a limiter works. So I'll show you the basics. If you do not use a limiter, you will definitely hurt your ears, and you'll definitely damage your speakers or your headphones. This is your last warning on that one, okay? I'm just, I'm being a bit of a dick about this because I want to make sure that you're going to listen to me and you're covered. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to shut up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, and I'll make that file available so you can have a look at it. And I'm going to just start off with a new project because there's a lot going on here, and that's a lot to get your head around at the start. So, again, you can do this with any sound. You can do it with a sample. You can do it with a synth within Ableton. Whatever you want to do is fine. As long as it generates a sound, you can work with that. So let me give you one example of feedback first of all. So if I just go into instruments and go to operator, double click it. So I've got my operator synth. I'm going to change this. Actually, I'll leave it as it is. Okay, so then we have reverb and delay here normally as standard. Okay, I'm going to just delete reverb a second. So now we just have delay. Okay, so this is a send. So what I can do is I can send a copy of this sound out to A, and behind A is a delay unit. and the dry and wet is up at 100%, and it should be. So essentially what's happening is you're sending a copy of the sound out of here into that, and then you're hearing 100% of that affected sound. Now what you can do is you can add feedback, which is this function here. If I put a copy of this out first, so I'm going to just drag send right up. So now we hear the delay. If I take feedback off completely, you should hear 3-4 echoes. Okay, and that's based on the divisions that we have here. So these are 16th notes, so this is 3/16ths, so that's telling you how many echoes you're going to get and the space between the echoes. So if I go 1/16th, they're closer. Okay, and this button here locks them together, so if I change one, the other changes. Alright, you can hear how long that takes now to come through, because that's basically a bar based on your tempo. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to turn up the feedback so you can hear that that lasts longer. It still fades away though, because it's less than 100%. If you go over 100%, that means then that the layers stack on top of each other constantly and continually, because you're at plus 100%. So there's no drop off each time it goes around its cycle. So basically what's happening is the sound is going out of operator channel 1. I'll just delete all these as well, we don't need to look at those. So it's going out of this channel, get into this channel, which the effect is on, and then it's kind of going out of here and then back in on itself again and again and again. But because it's only at 95% and you can't go any higher, it'll eventually dip off. Okay, so there's ways around this, and I'm going to show you that now. So I'm going to just take that feedback off altogether, so we're getting this type of sound. And what I'm going to do next is, where it says send A here, that's basically the same as this function, and we're using this to send a copy of the sound out to here. Well, if I try and move this up and down, it doesn't actually work. It's off, it's grayed out. So if I turn it up, we're getting, doesn't make a difference to the sound at all. If I right click on it and then I enable send or enable all sends, so if there's like 5 or 6 on here, you can click enable all sends, but we just need to do this one for now. Now it's not grayed out anymore. So this is where you put in your limiter. Don't go any further until you do that. Trust me. So pop your limiter on, and this is basically like a guard, and it's saying, okay, right, what's the maximum level that you want this sound to go to before I stop it getting any louder? And I'm going to just click and drag this down to -12, or else you can just pop in -12 if you want, and around there somewhere is fine. So now this is just setting a limit on the level. And that's really important, because if you don't do that, the layers will just stack on top of one another continually until Ableton absolutely freaks out, your ears freak out, and your speakers freak out. So that's to stop that happening. So if I start turning this up, okay, so that's locked that in now. And I'm adding the feedback here as well, so we're getting some really weird sounds. Now look, it's taken off 24 decibels more on the sound. If we didn't have this in here, we would be in a lot of pain. Okay, so what I'm going to do next now is I'm going to go from delay mode and sync mode to time mode. So if I click here, now it's not accepting any other sounds because there's just so much. Listen. Brilliant. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just take this down, so it settles its head again. Take this feedback down. There we go. Okay. Sometimes just been right on the edge of feedback is good. It's a nice place to be. So after this, I'm going to put on some reverb. Now, hopefully you're starting to see and hear the just the amount of flexibility that you have here. It's insane. It really is. So like, I'm going to just keep that going in the background because I like that sound. Maybe I'm just a weirdo, I'm not sure, but I really like that sound. So what I'm going to do next is add... Now this is going to be one tutorial of many, by the way, because I'm absolutely obsessed with this. And I won't be able to fit it into one tutorial, but this will get you going. So I'm going to go in and just stick in a normal 4/4 drum pattern for now, just to get some type of reference. Okay. I'm not pressing anything over here as well, by the way. That is just feedback. Okay. So back in here. I'm going to show you another wee trick. I don't want to hear the sound that's actually triggering this delay. So there's another wee thing you can do as well. Just calm this down a wee second. There we go. So this matrix that you have within Ableton, if you don't have it, you can knock it on and off here. So this is your matrix section, okay, M for matrix. And essentially what it does is it allows you to send audio or MIDI from anywhere to anywhere else, which is fantastic. You know, if you're just starting off with Ableton, you'll not appreciate this. You'll be annoyed by it because you won't understand it potentially. So I totally get that as well. But once you get the hang of it, you'll appreciate how brilliant and how simple and straightforward it is compared to other DAWs. Well, at least other DAWs that I've used. For example, Cubase, Reason maybe not so much, but Logic, Jesus, get me started. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this audio to, instead of the master channel, I'm going to send it to the send only. So basically it mutes the sound, the original sound going to the master, and it just sends it to the send. And then that sends the affected sound out to the master, because that's what it's set to do. So now we're just hearing the affected sound. Hopefully hopefully that's not too difficult to get your head around. I know it is at the start. Very, very nice. Okay, so like what I could do as well at the end of this is I could stick another echo in here, or delay if I wanted to as well. There's just so much you can do. So if you add two of these together as well, you're going to get some interesting effects. And then add a bit of this. I don't know, I just love it. I absolutely love it. Okay. So you get the idea, yeah? And this sounds completely different from this other stuff. Like maybe what you might want to do is you might just want to record some of this sound, you know? If that's what you want to do, that's grand. Open up an audio track, and then basically what you can do is you can just resample. Okay, and then if I go audio from, if I activate this now, that's now recording that sound in, and I can go in here now and start EQs are very good as well for this type of stuff. just have a listen to some of these sounds. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so just going to stop that there for a wee second now, and here is the audio that we recorded. So we can now just take this in and manipulate it and control it in any way we want. That's just amazing. It really is. I'm going to probably say that about 100 times when I'm doing this tutorial. You know, this is amazing. This is fucking amazing. But it is. So I'm going to say it 100 times, and that's the end of it. So anyway, so this is the sounds. So I'm just going to grab a snippet of this. I'm not even going to listen to it. I'm just going to grab a bit, and I'm sure it'll be sweet. So loop that section, and I'm not going to crop it just yet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the way that it's played back and change it to playing the transients, and I'm going to play 54%. So like basically between here and here, that's a transient, that's a transient. It'll play 54% or 42% of the sound. And I realised now, because I went into resampling mode and didn't mute the drums, it's actually taking the drums in as well. Silly me. So to avoid that, essentially what you could do is, instead of go to resampling, you can just take it from, I'll show you now. I'll just do it again. Okay, so I'm going to just delete these because they're not going to really work. Well, they'll work, but they'll be, you know, yeah, we can get better ones. Okay, so start hitting some keys here again to get this working. And instead of resampling, well, actually that's fine. I can use resampling now as long as the drums aren't playing. So I can just turn the drums off. But if you want to keep the drums on to get a feel for the vibe, you can essentially say audio from a delay, because that's the name of this track here, and then just arm that. And this is really dark. I like it. Okay, so yeah, fantastic. There we go. That's amazing. Okay. I don't even want to change any of this, to be honest, but I will. So let's take. Just endless sample heaven, this type of stuff, you know. I mean, like, this is only, I don't know, 1% of what I want to show you. It's just brilliant. I just love the way it sounds like if it's about to tear itself apart. And I think that's, and you know, 99% of music, that's where the fun happens. You can see here how much that's taken off as well. 42 decibels, that's insane. So that's why, again, it's important to have that limiter. So what I'm going to do is just add a wee auto filter in here. Get something rhythmical. Just taking the feedback off a wee bit because that's starting to scare me. Very nice. I think a phaser would be nice in here as well. Now we're still recording all this sound, which is great. I could definitely use this in music as well. Well, I have. Okay. one here, change the envelope slightly. I'm not going to go into how all these things work. I do have separate tutorials for them if you want to have a wee juke. Okay, so I'm going to start changing a few things around down here as well. Just sounds like this huge kind of space. It sounds like that sound to me is like this, just immersive. It nearly seems like you're stepping into a huge metallic space, and there's just sound coming from everywhere. It's, you know, you can't get that sound any other way. It doesn't sound like this. And relax. Okay, so let me undo some of this. Whew. So if you couldn't hear what I was saying through most of that, my apologies. Just realized how loud it was, but hopefully you could. Okay, so here is a lot of stuff that I could use now for a track, and I might do actually. Maybe you should do the same, and I'd love to hear if you do that and how it comes out the other end. This is one element of it. This is just vast. There's so many opportunities for feedback within Ableton. There's some fantastic Max for Live devices that we'll look at on down the line. But just with this one simple thing, operator playing a sine wave, one oscillator, no filtering, no other movement, nothing, just a bog standard voice on a synth brought straight in, sent into a delay line with, what do we have here? 2 echoes, 2 delays, an EQ, a filter with an LFO on it, a phaser, creating movement, reverb, creating depth and texture, and don't forget a limiter, and put the limiter at the very, very end of your chain. Otherwise, you're going to be in bother. Not from me, but just generally. So just, yeah, be careful. Okay, and that's it. And one return track. That's all you need. And look at what we got with that. You know, you could sit there with 60 channels and loads of things going on and not get those sounds. So experiment with that and explore, because it's fantastic. I'm going to just spend the next 5 minutes having a wee mess around here now with some of these sounds to see if I can make something out of it quickly. Okay, so I hope you enjoy. If you found that helpful and you want to see more of these, let me know. But yeah, brilliant. Yeah, keep the feedback up. See you, folks. Well, yeah, that was fun. Again, what is that? That is all of that, bar the drums, is a sine wave. Literally, a sine wave. Nothing else. That's pretty mental. Yeah. Okay. Look, this can go on for yeah, too long. It's probably gone on too long already. What's that, nearly 40 minutes? But yeah, so that's it for now, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, let me know, and I'll see if I can get some more made for you too. So until the next time, folks, nice one. Enjoy. See ya.